The village of Eldara buzzed with excitement as the annual festival approached. The air was filled with laughter, the smell of roasted meats, and the vibrant colors of banners flapping in the breeze. In the center of this joyful chaos stood Jackson, a traveler with a heart full of dreams. He had come to Eldara seeking adventure, but he never expected to find himself facing a challenge that would change his life forever. Jackson was drawn to the Valari clan's legendary blade, a symbol of strength and honor. The villagers spoke of its power and the fierce warriors who wielded it. With a determined spirit, he stepped forward to accept the challenge. The crowd fell silent, all eyes on him as he grasped the hilt of the sword. It was heavier than he imagined, but he felt a rush of energy flow through him. With each movement, he showcased not just his skill, but his passion for the art of combat. As he dueled the clan's champion, Jackson poured every ounce of himself into the fight. He felt alive, even as he pushed himself to his limits. When he finally emerged victorious, the crowd erupted in cheers. But amidst the celebration, he was met by Alira, the fierce warrior of the Valari clan. Her fiery spirit captivated him. But he was unaware that his victory held a deeper meaning. "You have claimed our blade," Alira said, her voice both soft and commanding. "You have also claimed me as your bride." Jackson blinked in surprise, his heart racing. He had fought for honor, not for a marriage he never expected. Confusion washed over him, but as he looked into Alira's eyes, he felt a flicker of hope. Perhaps this was a path to something greater. Months passed, and Jackson and Alira trained together, forming a bond that grew stronger with each passing day. They faced challenges side by side, learning about each other's strengths and fears. Jackson discovered Alira's fierce loyalty to her clan, while she admired his courage and determination. However, as the days turned into weeks, a distance began to creep into their relationship. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, Jackson sat alone on a hillside overlooking the village. He watched the villagers prepare for the upcoming festival, their laughter echoing in the distance. Despite the joy around him, he felt a heavy sadness in his heart. Alira had become distant, her laughter less frequent, her smiles more fleeting. Jackson longed to reach out, to bridge the growing gap between them, but he didn't know how. What if she doesn't want me anymore? He thought, his heart aching at the possibility. The thought of losing Alira filled him with dread. He remembered the first time he had held the clan's blade, the excitement of the duel, and how it had led him to her. He wanted to fight for them, but how could he do that when he felt so far away? As he sat there, Jackson recalled the traditions of the Valari clan. They valued strength, courage, and the bonds forged in battle. He realized that if he truly cared for Alira, he would need to fight for their connection, just as he had fought for her clan's blade. Inspired by this thought, he decided to take action. The next day, Jackson approached Alira as she practiced her swordplay in the training grounds. He watched her slice through the air with precision and grace, but today, her movements seemed less fierce. He took a deep breath and stepped forward. "Alira," he began, his voice steady but soft. "I know things have felt different between us lately. I want to understand what's happening. I want to fight for us." Alira paused, lowering her sword. She looked at him, her eyes reflecting a mixture of surprise and vulnerability. I have been feeling distant too," she admitted. "The weight of my clan's expectations is heavy. I've been trying to prove myself, to show that I am worthy of my role." Jackson nodded, feeling a sense of relief wash over him. "You are worthy, Alira, but you don't have to fight alone. We can face these challenges together." Her eyes softened, and for the first time in weeks, a genuine smile broke across her face. "You are right. I've been so focused on my duties that I forgot how to lean on others. I want to reconnect with you, Jackson." With that, They began to practice together again, not just as warriors, but as partners. They shared their fears, hopes, and dreams, finding strength in each other's presence. As the festival approached, their bond deepened, and Jackson felt the distance between them fade. On the eve of the festival, Jackson took Alira to the hillside where he had once felt so lost. The stars twinkled brightly overhead, and the village. Lights flickered in the distance. He turned to her, his heart full of hope. "Alira," he said, "I fought with your clan's blade, not knowing that it meant marriage. But now, I know that what we share is more than tradition. It's about us, our connection. I want to stand by your side, not just as a warrior, but as your partner in life." Alira stepped closer, her eyes shining with emotion. "And I want to stand by you, Jackson. Together, we can face anything that comes our way." As they stood together under the stars, Jackson felt a sense of peace. He had fought for their connection, and now they were stronger than ever. The distance that once separated them had vanished, replaced by a bond forged in courage, understanding, and love. In that moment, Jackson knew that whatever challenges lay ahead, they would face them together. He had fought not just with a blade, but with his heart, and in doing so, he had found a home in Alira's spirit. Together, they were ready to embrace their future, side by side, as partners in the journey of life. After the festival, Jackson and Alira felt a renewed sense of connection. Their bond had deepened through shared challenges, laughter, and the understanding they built together. However, as the days turned into weeks, a new challenge arose. Alira's training intensified. As she prepared for an upcoming competition to prove her worth as a warrior, this commitment pulled her away from Jackson, and slowly he began to sense a distance creeping back into their relationship. Jackson watched as Alira spent long hours training with the clan's best warriors. Her dedication was admirable, but he couldn't help but feel a pang of sadness each time they passed in the village without really talking. Their moments together became fewer, replaced by Alira's focus on her duties. Whenever Jackson tried to join her training, she would smile and thank him but seemed distracted, her mind elsewhere. One evening, as the sun set and painted the sky with hues of orange and purple, Jackson found himself on the hillside where they had shared so many meaningful conversations. The same breeze that once felt refreshing now felt heavy against his heart. He thought about how he had fought with her clan's blade and the promise that had come with it. But now, he felt like he was losing her again, and that thought weighed heavily on him. "I need to reach out," he whispered to himself, feeling a mix of determination and fear. But how could he break through the wall that seemed to have grown between them? He knew Alira was passionate about her training, but he missed the laughter and the easy conversations they used to share. He wanted to be there for her, to support her, but he didn't know how to bridge this gap. The next day, Jackson decided to visit the training grounds. He watched Alira from a distance, her focus unwavering as she practiced her swordplay. She moved with strength and grace, but today she looked tense. Jackson took a deep breath and approached her, hoping to find the right words. "Alira," he called gently, trying to break through her concentration. She paused, lowering her sword and turning to him. "Jackson, I didn't see you there." Her smile was warm, but it didn't reach her eyes as it once did. "I thought I'd come and watch you train." "You're amazing," he said, trying to sound cheerful, but he could feel his heart sinking. "Thank you," she replied, her voice softening. "I'm just trying to prepare for the competition. I have to prove myself, you know." Jackson nodded, understanding her drive, but feeling the weight of their unspoken distance. "I know you want to do well, but I miss spending time with you. It feels like we're drifting apart again." Alira's expression shifted, a flicker of realization crossing her face. "I didn't mean to pull away. I've just been so focused on proving myself to the clan. I thought you would understand. I do understand, he replied earnestly. But I'm here for you, Alira. You don't have to do this alone. We can support each other. She looked down, her brow furrowed in thought. I don't want to let you down. I want to be a strong warrior, but I also don't want to lose you. Jackson stepped closer, sensing the vulnerability in her voice. You won't lose me. I care about you, Alira. It's not just about your strength as a warrior. It's about us as partners. We can fight the battles together. With a sigh, Alira nodded slowly, the tension in her shoulders easing just a bit. You're right. I've been so wrapped up in my own goals that I forgot how important our connection is. I want to reconnect, but I don't know how. Jackson smiled gently, feeling a spark of hope. Let's make a plan. We can train together, but also set aside time just for us, time to talk, to laugh, or even just to enjoy the sunset. I want to be part of your journey, not just a spectator. Alira's eyes brightened at his words, and for the first time in weeks, Jackson saw the warmth return to her smile. That sounds perfect, Jackson. I'd love that. From that day forward, they made a conscious effort to reconnect. They trained together, blending their skills and pushing each other to improve. Jackson learned new techniques from Alira, while she discovered the power of collaboration. Their laughter echoed across the training grounds, and their conversations flowed freely once more. As they spent time together, Jackson noticed. The sun rose over Eldara, casting a warm glow on the village as Jackson prepared for another day of training with Alira. After their heartfelt conversation on the hillside, he felt a renewed sense of hope. They had promised to support each other and spend more time together, and he was eager to see how their bond would grow. As Jackson walked to the training grounds, he couldn't help but smile. The laughter of children playing in the village filled the air, reminding him of the joy that came with connection. He thought about Alira and how much he admired her strength and determination. She was not just a warrior. She was someone who inspired him to be better. When he arrived at the training grounds, he found Alira practicing her sword techniques, her movements sharp and precise. She looked focused, but there was a lightness in her stance that hadn't been there before. Jackson approached her, feeling his heart lift at the sight of her. Alira, he called out, waving. You're looking strong today. She turned, her face breaking into a bright smile. Thank you, Jackson. I'm trying to push myself harder. It feels good to train together again. Jackson joined her, picking up a practice sword. They began sparring, their laughter mixing with the sounds of clashing steel. Each swing of the sword brought them closer, and with every block, Jackson felt the distance between them fade. They were a team, fighting side by side, and it felt exhilarating. After a while, they took a break, sitting on a nearby bench to catch their breath. Alira wiped the sweat from her brow and looked at Jackson, her eyes shining with excitement. I can feel the difference already. I'm more confident when I train with you. Jackson smiled back, feeling a warmth in his chest. You're an incredible warrior, Alira. You always were. I'm just glad I can be a part of your journey. As they talked, Jackson noticed that Alira seemed more at ease. She opened up about her training, her dreams of becoming a leader in her clan, and how she wanted to inspire others to fight for their goals. Jackson listened intently, admiring her passion. But deep down, he felt a lingering worry. What would happen after her competition? Would she still have time for him once she became a champion? That evening, as the sun set, Jackson found himself on the hillside again. He looked out over the village, the sky painted in beautiful shades of orange and purple. It was a peaceful moment, but it brought back feelings of sadness. He missed Alira when she was focused solely on her training. He wished he could show her that they could balance their dreams together. He pulled out a small wooden carving he had made, a symbol of their bond. It was a simple figure of a warrior and a traveler standing side by side. He wanted to give it to her, to remind her that they could conquer their challenges together. But how could he express his feelings without overwhelming her? The next day, Jackson decided to surprise Alira. He gathered some flowers from the field, beautiful blooms that reminded him of her strength and spirit. He wanted to show her that he believed in her, no matter what. When he arrived at the training grounds, Alira was in the middle of a tough training session with the other warriors. They were sparring fiercely, and Jackson could see the determination in her eyes. He felt a swell of pride watching her fight, but he also felt a twinge of anxiety. Would she have time for him after the competition? He waited until her session ended, and when she noticed him, her face lit up. "Jackson, you're here!" she exclaimed, rushing over Dot as she approached. He held out the flowers. "I thought you might like these. They reminded me of your strength." Alira's eyes widened in surprise and joy as she accepted the flowers. "They're beautiful. Thank you so much, Jackson." "I just wanted to remind you that I'm here for you," he said, feeling a mixture of hope and nervousness. "No matter what happens in the competition, you're still the warrior I admire." She smiled softly, her expression turning serious. "That means a lot, Jackson. I've been so focused on proving myself that I didn't realize how much I missed you." "You're right. I need to find a balance." They spent the rest of the afternoon talking about their dreams and fears. Alira shared her worries about the competition, and Jackson listened closely, offering encouragement. He told her that she was already a champion in his eyes, and that made her smile. Dot as the days went by. Jackson and Alira continued to train together, but they also made time for each other outside of practice. They explored the village, shared stories under the stars, and found joy in simple moments. Jackson felt their bond growing stronger, and he cherished every laugh and every word they shared. One evening, as they sat by the riverbank, Alira turned to him with a thoughtful expression. "Jackson, I've been thinking about the competition. It's important to me, but I realize I don't want to lose what we have. I want to fight for my dreams, but I also want to fight for us." Jackson's heart swelled at her words. "We can do both, Alira. You can chase your dreams, and I'll be right here cheering you on. I believe in you." Alira smiled, a mix of determination and warmth in her eyes. "Thank you, Jackson. You give me strength. I've realized that having someone by my side makes me even stronger." As the competition approached, Jackson felt a surge of pride for Alira. He watched her train with renewed vigor, knowing that she was fighting for both herself and for their bond. The day of the competition arrived, and Jackson stood among the villagers, his heart racing as he cheered for her. When Alira stepped into the arena, she radiated confidence. She fought fiercely, displaying her skills with every move. Jackson watched in awe, knowing that she had overcome not just the challenges of the competition, but also the distance that had once threatened to pull them apart. In the end, Alira emerged victorious, and the crowd erupted in cheers. Jackson rushed to her side, his heart full of joy. She had done it. They embraced tightly, and in that moment, Jackson knew that they had fought for each other and won. "I couldn't have done it without you," Alira said, her voice filled with emotion. "I believed in you every step of the way," Jackson replied, feeling a deep sense of gratitude. As they stood together, surrounded by the cheers of their friends and family, Jackson realized that they had not only fought for their dreams, but had also forged a bond that would carry them through whatever challenges lay ahead. They were stronger together, and their future was bright. In that moment, Jackson understood that he had fought with their clan's blade, not knowing it would lead to this, a love that was unbreakable, grounded in hope, courage, and the promise of a shared journey. Together, they were ready to embrace whatever came next, side by side, as true partners in every sense of the word. Asterisk after Alira's triumphant victory in the competition, the village of Eldara celebrated. The streets were filled with music, laughter, and the delicious smell of food. Jackson felt a swell of pride watching Alira bask in the glory of her achievement. She had fought hard, not just for herself, but for their bond. Yet as the celebrations continued, Jackson noticed something troubling. Alira seemed distracted, her mind often drifting away, even in the midst of all the joy. One evening, as the festivities reached their peak, Jackson found a moment to speak with her. They stood on the edge of the village, watching the fireworks light up the sky. The colors were beautiful, but Jackson felt a heaviness in his heart. "Alira," he began, turning to her, "you did amazing today. I'm so proud of you. But I can't help but notice that something seems off. Are you okay?" Alira looked at the ground, her expression thoughtful. "Thank you, Jackson. I feel happy about winning, but part of me is worried. I've achieved this goal, but now I'm not sure what to do next. The pressure to keep proving myself is overwhelming." Jackson nodded, understanding her struggle. "It's natural to feel that way after such a big event. But remember, you don't have to prove anything to anyone. You've already shown everyone how strong you are. You've shown me." She smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. "I appreciate that, but I feel like I'm losing my way. I've been so focused on my training and the competition that I've let other things slip. I don't want to lose what we have, Jackson." His heart sank at her words. He had fought to reconnect with her, and now he felt that distance creeping. "Back in. We can figure this out together," he said softly. "Let's take a step back and focus on us. We need to talk more, share what we're feeling. I want to support you, but I also need to feel connected to you." Alira looked up, her eyes shining with a mixture of gratitude and sadness. "You're right. I've been so caught up in everything that I forgot to prioritize us. How can I balance my goals with keeping our connection strong?" Jackson thought for a moment. "Let's make a plan. We can set aside time every week to talk and train together. No distractions, just us. That way, you can focus on your goals without losing sight of what we have." Alira smiled, her spirit lifting. "I'd like that. Thank you for being patient with me." As the days went by, Jackson and Alira began their new routine. They set aside time each week for connection days, where they would train, talk, and enjoy each other's company without any outside pressures. This new focus brought them closer, and Jackson could see Alira's confidence returning. One afternoon, they decided to go for a walk outside the village. The sun was shining and the air was fresh. As they walked, Jackson felt a sense of peace. They talked about their dreams, their fears, and their hopes for the future. Alira shared her plans for further training, and Jackson encouraged her to take a step back and enjoy The sun rose brightly over Eldara, casting a golden glow over the village. It was a new day, but Jackson felt a familiar heaviness in his heart. Alira had just returned from her latest competition, where she had fought fiercely and won once again. However, Jackson sensed that something was still bothering her. Despite their recent successes, he could feel a distance growing between them once more. After the celebrations ended, Alira seemed preoccupied. She trained harder than ever, often pushing Jackson to the side. While he admired her dedication, he couldn't shake the feeling that she was retreating into herself again. Jackson missed their connection, the laughter, the shared dreams, and the simple moments of joy. He wanted to reach out, but he didn't know how to break through the wall that seemed to be rising between them. One evening, as the sunset painted the sky in shades of orange and pink, Jackson decided to confront his feelings. He found Alira sitting alone by the training grounds, her sword resting beside her. She stared off into the distance, lost in thought. Jackson approached cautiously. "Alira, can we talk?" he asked gently, hoping to draw her out of her thoughts. She turned to him, her expression softening. "Of course, Jackson. What's on your mind?" He took a deep breath, feeling the weight of his words. "I've noticed that you seem distant lately, even after your victory. I miss the time we used to spend together. I want to support you, but I also want to reconnect with you. It feels like you're carrying a heavy burden." Alira's eyes filled with emotion, and she looked down at the ground. "I'm sorry, Jackson. I've been so focused on training and preparing for the next competition that I lost sight of what really matters. I feel the pressure to be the best, to live up to expectations, and I'm scared of letting everyone down." Jackson stepped closer, his heart aching for her. "You're already a champion, Alira. You've proven that time and again, but you don't have to face this alone. I'm here for you, and I want to help you find a way to balance everything without losing yourself or us." She looked up at him, her expression filled with gratitude. "I appreciate that, Jackson. I want to find that balance too, but I don't know how. It's hard to let go of the pressure. Let's take it one step at a time," he suggested. "We can set aside dedicated time each week to focus on us. We can train together, but also just enjoy being together. Life is too short to let pressure steal our joy." Alira nodded slowly, a small smile beginning to form. "That sounds wonderful. I've missed our time together. I want to reconnect, and I don't want to lose what we have." As they spoke, the weight on Jackson's heart began to lift. He could see the spark of determination returning in Alira's eyes. They made a plan to create connection days, where they would focus on their relationship, allowing both of them to grow as individuals and as partners. The following week, they started their new routine. On their first connection day, Jackson surprised Alira with a picnic in the clearing where they had shared so many happy moments. He laid out a blanket and filled it with food he had prepared himself: sandwiches, fruits, and a few sweet treats. Alira's face lit up with joy when she saw the picnic. "This is amazing, Jackson. You really know how to make me smile." "I wanted to do something special," he replied, feeling his heart swell with happiness. "Let's enjoy this time together and talk about anything, our hopes, dreams, or whatever is on our minds." As they sat on the blanket, they shared stories and laughter. Jackson told Alira about his travels before coming to Eldara, sharing tales of adventure and discovery. Alira opened up about her dreams for the future, not just as a warrior, but as a leader who could inspire others. With each story, Jackson felt their bond deepening. After their meal, they decided to take a walk through the woods. The vibrant colors of nature surrounded them, and the sound of birds singing filled the air. Alira took a deep breath, looking genuinely happy for the first time in weeks. "I've realized how important it is to take breaks and enjoy the journey," Alira said, her smile radiant. "Thank you for reminding me of that." Jackson smiled back, feeling a sense of pride. "You're doing the hard work. I'm just here to support you. Together, we can face whatever challenges come our way." As they walked, Jackson decided to take a leap of faith. "Alira, I've been thinking about something. I know we've talked about our future, but I want to make a promise to you. I want to be by your side, not just in training, but in life. I want to fight for us, no matter what." Alira stopped walking and turned to him, her eyes wide with surprise. "Jackson, are you saying what I think you're saying?" He took a deep breath, feeling his heart race. "Yes, I want to be your partner in every sense of the word. I don't want to lose you to the pressures of the world. Together, we can face anything." Tears shimmered in Alira's eyes, and she stepped closer, her voice trembling with emotion. "I want that too. I want to build a future together where we can support each other through everything. They stood together in that beautiful moment, both feeling the weight of their promises. Jackson felt a surge of hope and determination. They would face challenges together, and together they could overcome anything. As the sun began to set, painting the sky in vibrant hues of pink and orange, Jackson took Alira's hand. "Let's make sure we never lose sight of what we have. We can fight for our dreams, but we can also fight for each other." Alira squeezed his hand tightly, her smile brighter than ever. "I promise. I won't let the pressures of the world come between us again. We'll be partners, strong together." With that promise echoing in their hearts, they continued their walk, the weight of their worries lifting as they embraced the hope for their future. Jackson felt a renewed sense of purpose, knowing that he had fought for their connection and would continue to do so. In the days that followed, Jackson and Alira grew even closer. They trained hard, but they also made time to enjoy each other's company. They explored the village, tried new foods, and shared stories under the stars. Each moment deepened their bond, reminding them of the importance of connection. As they prepared for another competition, Jackson felt a sense of pride in Alira. She was not only a fierce warrior, but also a person who inspired him every day. Together, they had found a way to balance their dreams with their love, and that made all the difference. On the day of the competition, Jackson stood in the crowd, cheering for Alira with all his heart. He knew that no matter the outcome, they had already won something far greater, a love that could withstand any challenge. They had fought through their struggles and emerged stronger, united in their hopes and dreams. As Alira stepped into the arena, confidence radiated from her. Jackson felt a rush of excitement, knowing that they were both ready to face whatever came next. Together, they would embrace the future, side by side, heart to heart. He had fought with their clan's blade, not knowing it would lead to a love that was unbreakable, a bond forged in hope, courage, and the promise of a shared journey. The day of the competition arrived in Eldara, and excitement filled the air. Villagers gathered in the arena, their voices mingling in a joyful chorus. Jackson stood among them, his heart racing with pride and anticipation. He knew Alira had trained hard and was ready to show everyone her strength once again. But as he looked around, he couldn't shake the feeling of worry that had settled in his stomach. Alira had fought fiercely in her previous competitions, but this time felt different. The pressure was higher, and with each passing moment, Jackson sensed the weight of expectations resting heavily on her shoulders. He wanted to support her, but he also feared that the stress might pull them apart again. "Jackson, are you ready to cheer for Alira?" A voice called out, pulling him from his thoughts. It was Kale, one of Alira's closest friends in the clan. "Of course. I'm excited to see her fight," Jackson replied, forcing a smile. He truly was, but he couldn't shake the feeling of distance that had crept back into their relationship since the last competition. He wanted to be there for Alira, but he also wanted her to enjoy the moment without the pressure of expectations. As the bell rang to signal the start of the competition, Jackson's heart raced. He watched as Alira entered the arena, her armor gleaming in the sunlight. The crowd erupted in cheers, and Jackson could see the determination in her eyes. But behind that determination, he also sensed a flicker of doubt. The first round began, and Alira faced her opponent with skill and grace. She moved like a whirlwind, striking with precision. The crowd roared with every successful blow she landed, and Jackson felt a surge of hope. Maybe this would be the moment she needed to regain her confidence. But as the rounds continued, Jackson noticed Alira hesitating at times, her focus wavering. In between matches, he could see her glancing toward the sidelines, searching for reassurance. Jackson's heart ached. He wanted to help her find that confidence again. After she won her second match, Alira took a moment to catch her breath. Jackson called out to her, waving his arms to attract her attention. She spotted him and smiled, but it didn't quite reach her eyes. It was clear she was still feeling the weight of expectations, and Jackson felt a deep urge to reconnect with her. Before the final round dot, as the crowd buzzed with excitement for the last match, Jackson decided to act. He slipped away from the crowd and made his way to the arena's edge. When Alira stepped out for her next fight, he called her name softly, hoping she would hear him above the noise.